Chapter 1739. Bah! This was Yi Qianqian's boyfriend. No matter what, she couldn't steal her best friend's boyfriend. Feng Tongtong slapped her face and shook her head forcefully. She took a deep breath and muttered to herself, "Wake up. You can play by yourself tomorrow. Go to sleep." With that, Feng Tongtong wrapped herself in the blanket and lay down. However, she couldn't help but open her eyes and look at her surroundings. It was a dark environment, and the surroundings were filled with heavy fitness equipment. Only a real man would truly like these cold and heavy things. She didn't expect Shen Jielia to be so manly despite his skinny appearance. Indeed, one couldn't judge a man by his appearance. Feng Tongtong closed her eyes, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. After Yi Qianqian finished showering, she returned to her room. Shen Jielia was sitting in front of the computer with a large stack of documents. It looked like he was looking at medical records. Yi Qianqian walked over while drying her hair. She sat down on the bed and looked at the computer. "Are you still busy?" Shen Jielia turned around and looked at Yi Qianqian. He looked unhappy and said, "Why did you give that set of pajamas to your best friend?" Yi Qianqian was stunned for a moment and said, "Because she didn't bring any clothes. Out of all my clothes, that was the only set that I wore less, so that was picked out by my grandmother. No matter what, you shouldn't have given it to someone else to wear." Yi Qianqian frowned and was a little unhappy. "Isn't it just a set of pajamas? Why are you so stingy?" Shen Jilia's expression darkened. He said, "This set of pajamas has a different meaning. It's the first gift my grandmother gave you. No matter how much you dislike it, it's your business to keep it as a secret. But you gave it away just like that. If my grandmother found out, do you know what she would think?" His words were so serious that Yi Qianqian's expression darkened. She stopped drying her hair and said, "She's my best friend. She's my best friend since I was young. When I was at my poorest in school, if it weren't for her, I wouldn't have been able to attend university. I only had a set of pajamas, and I let her wear it. I didn't say I was giving it to her. At most, I'll buy her a set tomorrow. I'll take it home to wash and put it back." Shen Jilia's expression softened a little. He looked at Yi Qianqian and said, "I'll bring it back tomorrow. I don't like it when someone else wears that outfit." Yi Qianqian pouted and muttered, "You're so petty." "This isn't a matter of being stingy. I think it's a matter of principle. Yi Qianqian, this isn't just a matter of pajamas." Shen Jilia's tone was a little heavy. He looked at Yi Qianqian with disappointment. She placed her hands on her hips and retorted, "What kind of problem is that? It's just a small matter. You're a man. Why are you being so calculative? I already said that I'll get it back. What else do you want? These are the pajamas I gave you. You can give them away, but what about next time?" Shen Jilia gritted his teeth in anger. "If she asks for something else next time, can you deliver it to her?" Chapter 1740. Shen Jilia found it a little ridiculous and laughed. "She didn't take any credit for the fact that I'm with you." Yi Qianqian was exasperated. She flung her hair towel and said, "You don't understand at all. Do you know why she's my best friend?" Shen Jilia raised his eyebrows and looked eager to hear more. "When I was a freshman, my grandmother was in poor health. My father and grandfather took out all their savings to treat her. At that time, we had nothing at home. Half a semester had passed, and my father couldn't afford to pay for my living expenses. It was Feng Tongtong who provided for me." Shen Jilia was silent. "At that time, I couldn't even afford to eat. I had to work part-time while attending school. I had to send some of the money back home. At that time, I was so hungry that I developed stomach problems. I couldn't take it anymore and almost dropped out of school. It was Tong Tong who gave me $200 to eat properly. In the second semester, she even lent me the money she earned from her part-time job to pay for my tuition." Yi Qianqian felt a little sad when she said that. She looked at Shen Jilia and continued, "If it weren't for Tong Tong, I would have dropped out of school. If I had dropped out of school, I wouldn't have found a job in Oya right after graduation. I wouldn't have met Lily, and I wouldn't have met you. So, it's all thanks to Tong Tong that we're together now." Shen Jilia was even more silent after listening to this series of karma. When Yi Qianqian saw his reaction, she continued, "Tong Tong is really good to me. I've always treated her as my best friend. All these years, she's been at home, and we've been apart more than together. I haven't had the chance to repay her. It's just a pair of pajamas. Don't be angry, okay? Shen Jilia couldn't get angry even if he wanted to. He looked at Yi Qianqian and pursed his lips. When you went to Venice, you brought a bunch of gifts for her, right? Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask her to go with me on the trip to Venice. I didn't expect that I'd sprain my ankle, so I couldn't go. The ticket expired. Then why didn't she come to visit you when you injured your ankle? She was busy at the shop. How could she have the time to visit me? I told her not to. So, she's not busy now? Yi Qianqian immediately shut her mouth and was speechless. Shen Jilia sighed helplessly. I've never believed in such things. What? Fate. This is fate. Even if Fong Tong Tong didn't help you back then, I believe that we would have met in other ways. But that's how things are now. Do you dare to say that this isn't Tong Tong's credit? This is fate. This is fate. There's no such thing as a credit to anyone. Shen Jilia didn't think much of it. Everything that happens is destined. Don't dwell too much on the past. People change. She looked at Shen Jilia and said angrily, forget it. I'm going to blow dry my hair. I can't be bothered to talk to you. Shen Jilia didn't say another word. He turned off the computer and crawled under the covers. When Yi Qianqian came in, he hugged her. When Yi Qianqian felt his arms around her, she knew that he was up to no good again. He twisted his body and said softly, there's someone else here. Don't mess around. Shen Jilia closed his eyes and wrapped his legs around her. Sleep. Yi Qianqian was exhausted and soon fell asleep. Death. Chapter 1741. The next day, Yi Qianqian returned home after a day of work, but old Shen was not home. Fong Tong Tong was not home either. Yi Qianqian raced against time to finish her work, only to come home to an empty house. She called Shen Jilia. The moment the call connected, she heard voices coming from the other end of the line. Hello. You're not back yet? Yi Qianqian's voice carried a hint of coquettishness. I thought I could have dinner when I got back. Yeah, I have to work overtime today. There's a patient who isn't in good condition. I'm a little busy, so I forgot to tell you. Go out with your bestie to eat. Oh, okay. Take care and come back early. Okay. Yi Qianqian hung up the phone and called Fong Tong Tong. Fong Tong Tong was sitting leisurely in a cafe. When she received Yi Qianqian's call, she slowly picked it up. Hi, Qianqian. Where are you? I'm at home. Where are you? Old Shen is working overtime today, so he's not home. I haven't eaten yet. I'm at Xingye Square. Come over. Let's go have hot pot. Hot pot? It's such a hot day. It's my treat. I'll be right there. Fong Tong Tong smiled and hung up the phone. She continued to browse the web on her phone. It was a guide to a short-term trip to Kingstown. Yi Qianqian and Fong Tong Tong had hot pot together. After that, they went shopping and bought a lot of clothes. In addition to all kinds of clothes, there were also pajamas. They didn't return home until after 10 p.m. Shen Jilia was reading some documents on the sofa in his pajamas. When he saw them return, he only glanced at them before he lowered his head and asked, Have you eaten? Yes, we went to buy a lot of clothes. Yi Qianqian waved the shopping bag in her hand. What did you eat tonight? I haven't eaten yet. Go take a shower. I'm a little busy. Shen Jilia looked at the documents with a frown. There have been a lot of women committing suicide recently. What's going on? Fong Tong Tong was a little curious. She placed the shopping bag on the sofa and sat down to look at Shen Jilia. Yi Qianqian glanced at him. After she closed the door, she asked, How busy are you? You haven't eaten yet. Let me cook you a bowl of noodles. Okay. Don't put cilantro in it. Yi Qianqian pursed her lips and headed into the kitchen. Fong Tong Tong asked curiously, What did you mean by committing suicide? Oh, it's like this. This female patient is an elite returnee. She's an executive of a large company. She was pursued by a man during a business meeting. After the two of them fell in love, the man's wife suddenly appeared and beat her up. She called her a mistress and even scratched her car. She wrote a lot of nasty words on it. Oh, and then Fong Tong Tong was obsessed with all kinds of gossip. She rested her chin on her hands and looked at Shen Jilia seriously. Then, the woman went to the man to settle the score. When she was with the man, she didn't know that he had a wife. After they found each other, the man begged her not to break up with him. He promised that he would divorce his wife soon, but in the end, because his wife's family was rich and powerful, he couldn't bear to part with her, and the woman got pregnant. F***ck. That's so melodramatic. Fong Tong Tong was shocked. And then, after that, the wife of the first wife beat the woman up again and caused her to have a miscarriage. After the incident, she was fired from the company, and the man disappeared without a trace. It could be said that he had nothing left. He was even cursed by others. In the end, he couldn't take the pressure and committed suicide at home. He didn't die? Chapter 1742. Ha! What's your rank in your hospital? From his tone, it sounded like he was at a very high rank. Shen Jilia replied without even lifting his head. Department Director. D***Mn. You're already a director at such a young age? D***Mn. Fong Tong Tong looked like she was about to collapse. That can't be. Aren't directors usually in their 40s or 50s? You're such a young director. Are you serious? When Shen Jilia heard that, he chuckled and said, Didn't Qian tell you? Of course not. She didn't even say a word. Look at how well she hid you. She didn't even tell me about such a big thing. Sigh. Yi Qian had just put the noodles into the pot. When she heard that, she felt a little smug and said, I'll just keep it to myself. Why should I tell you? Will this patient be difficult to handle? A little. He's having a mental breakdown. Based on his recent situation, he's showing signs of schizophrenia. If he doesn't handle it properly, he might just go crazy. Shen Jilia was a little sympathetic. There are too many scumbags in this world. Exactly. There are too many scumbags. Fong Tong Tong was also indignant. If only all the men in this world were like you. You can't say that. If everyone was like me, how could they highlight my excellence? Shen Jilia did not hold back at all. Yi Qian heard him from inside and snorted. Shameless. Can't you be a little more humble? There's no use in being humble. The halo of a genius like me can't be suppressed just because I'm humble. Fong Tong Tong lifted her clothes. Hey, I don't even know how to respond to you like this. You should echo me and compliment me at a time like this, Shen Jilia kindly reminded her. If you're cheated by a scumbag in the future, you can come to our hospital. I'll give you an insider discount. Fong Tong Tong picked up an apple and threw it at him. Shut up. Shen Jilia dodged and casually caught the apple. He put it back and said with a smile, I was thinking too much. A tough scumbag like you wouldn't dare to provoke you. Fong Tong Tong became even angrier. Are you saying that I'm too manly to get married? Qian, don't you care about your man? Yi Qian came out with a bowl of noodles and placed it in front of Shen Jilia. She sat down beside him and said, What he said is the truth. You're so unfeminine. Isn't it normal that you can't get married? Husband and wife, you two are too hateful. Fong Tong Tong grabbed the bag of clothes and stood up. Then, she headed to her room. I'm going to ignore you guys. However, as soon as he turned around, the smile on his face disappeared. They seemed to be a perfect match for each other. Fong Tong Tong headed straight for the bedroom. Shen Jilia's voice sounded from behind her. It smells so good. Haha. Isn't it fragrant? It's fine if I don't cook, but once I do, I'll amaze you to death. Chapter 1743. She looked at the time. It was already past 10 p.m. After Yi Qian showered, she called Shen Jilia. The phone rang for a long time, but no one picked up. Fong Tong Tong was playing games on the sofa. When she saw Yi Qian like this, she said, Why are they so strict? He's not even married yet, and he's already like this. If he's married, it'll be terrible. When Yi Qian heard the teasing, she became even more impatient and said irritably, Old Shen hasn't been away for so long. In the past, he would call back to report that he's safe and sound. It's already so late, and there's no news at all. How can this be? Well, Maybe he's busy. Don't worry too much. A man like old Shin wouldn't mess around outside. No. Yi Qianqian's heart beat faster. She subconsciously reached out to touch her chest and whispered, I keep feeling that something will happen to him. Don't think too much. Nothing will happen. Feng Tongtong didn't mind. She paused the game and poured her a glass of water. Dry your hair. He'll be back in a while. Yi Qianqian took the glass, but she wasn't in the mood to drink it. She continued to call Shan Jilia. She called several times in a row, but no one picked up. Kingstown Huxin Hospital. Hurry up. What are you waiting for? Where's the patient? She's under control. We've given her a sedative for now, but she can't stay in our hospital in such a situation. Stay. Stay my ass. Director Shen is already like this. Who would dare to stay? Hurry up and give him a blood transfusion. The people in the psychology department were busy, rushing back and forth. Everyone looked like they were in a hurry. It was past 11 p.m. when the hustle and bustle slowly came to a stop. A doctor walked to the department director's office and found that Shen Jilia's phone had more than a dozen missed calls. The note on it was clear, future wife, love. When the doctor saw those words, he sighed, picked up the phone, turned around, and walked out. Yi Qianqian couldn't sleep. Shen Jilia had never been like this. It was like he had disappeared into thin air. After tossing and turning, she finally got upset. She got up and logged into Shen Jilia's WeChat account. The password for all of Shen Jilia's social media accounts was the same. After Yi Qianqian logged in without any trouble, she immediately found Luo Ran. He sent a question mark over, followed by 2 words. Are you there? Yi Qianqian thought that Luo Ran would be either clubbing or having sex at this hour, so he wouldn't be able to recover quickly. But who knew that there would be an instant reply? Luo Ran. Here, Luo Ran. Another problem? Yi Qianqian looked at the words and said in a voice message, I'm Shen Jilia's girlfriend, Yi Qianqian. It's already so late, and old Shen hasn't come back yet. I called him more than 20 times, but he didn't pick up. Do you know where he is? Chapter 1744. Shen Jilia. Yeah, I think so too. Yi Qianqian had already changed her clothes. After putting on her shoes, she walked out. When Luo Ran saw her reply, he immediately felt that it was inappropriate. After thinking about it, he said, Why don't I ask him? Sister-in-law. Don't be nervous. This guy is good at fighting. He can easily take on 2 people at once. Don't worry. When Yi Qianqian heard that, she didn't feel at ease. She thought about the female patient he mentioned a few days ago who was likely to go crazy. What if that woman really went crazy? A madman doesn't need to bear legal responsibility for killing someone. The more Yi Qianqian thought about it, the more scared she became. She picked up her bag and opened the door. Feng Tongtong saw her and asked, Where are you going? I'm going to look for old Shen. Ah yeah, he's a man. What are you worried about? He just came back a little late. If you find him and he's fine, he might even say that you're too strict with him. Then it'll be awkward. Feng Tongtong stood up. If he's at a party, he'll definitely be laughed at by his friends. How will he face the world then? Yi Qianqian didn't stop in her tracks. At that moment, her phone suddenly vibrated. It was a phone call. The caller was Shen Jilia. Yi Qianqian quickly picked up the phone. Hello? Yeah. It was Shen Jilia's voice. Yi Qianqian breathed a sigh of relief and shouted anxiously, Where are you? Ah. Shen Jilia looked like he had just woken up from a dream and said, I got off work early today. My colleagues dragged me out for a drink. I got drunk, so I didn't answer the phone. Yi Qianqian had been worried for so long, but this was the answer she had been waiting for. She suddenly felt that her worries were unnecessary. Gritting her teeth, Yi Qianqian slammed the half-open door shut and said, I'll drink you to death. Where are you? I'll pick you up. There's no need. I'm resting at my colleague's house. Oh right. I have to go back to my hometown in the capital tomorrow. Something happened with my brother. I have to go back as soon as possible. Shen Luowen? Yeah. Shen Jilia replied faintly. His voice sounded a little weak. When Yi Qianqian heard that, she knew that he had drunk too much and wasn't in a good state. She was a little annoyed, but there was nothing she could do about it. She asked, "What time is your flight tomorrow? I'll pack your luggage and send it over. Where's your colleague's house?" "It's fine. It's a male colleague. If you don't believe me, I'll let him answer the phone." As he spoke, there was a soft noise coming from the other end. No! She just wanted to see him. It had been a whole night, and her heart was still hanging in the air, feeling very uncomfortable. Yi Qianqian swallowed the words that were on the tip of her tongue. "Sister-in-law, nice to meet you. I'm Zhou Dawei, Xiao Zhou. Mr. Shen had dinner at my house and we drank a little too much." Chapter 1745. All right. Xiao Zhou felt as if he had been pardoned. In that case, sister-in-law, Brother Shen seems to have fallen asleep again. I'll hang up now. Okay. Thank you for your hard work. You're welcome. Xiao Zhou hung up the phone in trepidation before heaving a huge sigh of relief. Xiao Zhou returned the phone to Shen Jilia with a pained expression and said, "Brother Shen, is it really okay to lie to sister-in-law like that? I think it's better to tell her." Shen Jilia lay on the hospital bed. His eyes were squinted, and his face was extremely pale. A soft tube was attached to his arm, and a transparent liquid was slowly being transferred into his body. When he heard Xiao Zhou's words, Shen Jilia opened his eyes and said, "It'll be even worse if I tell her. She'll be worried." "But are you going to stay in the hospital just like that? With your injuries, you'll need to stay here for at least some time. It won't do if you don't have a woman to take care of you." "It's fine. Go back to work. I can take care of it myself." Xiao Zhou panicked when he heard that. "What can you take care of? That's such a big wound, and you've lost so much blood. It's good enough that you're still alive. How are you going to survive? You might not even be able to use your arm for the rest of your life. If you don't take good care of it, we'll see who gets the short end of the stick in the future. It's my bad luck to have such a patient." Shen Jilia smiled bitterly as he looked at his arm, which had more than 10 stitches. "Where's the woman?" "Sigh. She's been sedated and locked up for the time being. But how did she end up like this all of a sudden? It can't be, Dr. Shen." Shen Jilia took a deep breath and said, "Get me some water." Xiao Zhou pouted, but he had no choice but to obediently pour some water. Shen Jilia continued, "She said that I looked like her ex-boyfriend and wanted me to compensate her for the loss of her youth. She even told me to die with her. I'm so handsome, so how could I die with her? What a waste. So, I resolutely resisted. She had a mental breakdown. After she smashed the cup, she stabbed me several times with the shards." Xiao Zhou was both angry and amused when he heard that. But when he looked at Shen Jilia's hand, he couldn't bring himself to laugh. "You used your hand to block it?" "Of course, if I didn't use my hands to block it, I would have either gone blind or had my throat slit. In any case, I would have ended up worse than this." "Tisk." Xiao Zhou expressed his sympathy. "A woman who has lost her mind isn't scary. The scariest thing is that this crazy woman is a Sonda fighter. Thank you, Mr. Shen." "Well, where's the water?" "Coming." Yi Qianqian didn't sleep well that night. When the alarm clock rang the next day, she had only slept for a few hours. She got out of bed, washed up, and got ready to go to work. As soon as she got on the bus, she called Shen Jilia. Chapter 1746. The corners of her lips curled up, but she said, "Why do you have so much to say?" "I'm hanging up." After hanging up, Yi Qianqian's drowsiness was swept away. She looked at the traffic jam in front of her and instantly felt more pleasing to the eye. Perhaps this was the power of love. After hanging up, Shen Jilia pressed the lock screen. The screensaver showed Yi Qianqian's beautiful and exquisite face. It made people feel relaxed and happy. The door to the ward opened, and Xiao Zhou walked in with a thermos. When he saw the smile on Shen Jilia's face, he teased, "Hey, hey, hey! What are you looking at? You look so happy. Are you looking at sister-in-law?" Shen Jilia put down his phone and wiped the smile off his face. He looked at Xiao Zhou and raised his eyebrows. "You're early? It's getting late. Everyone in the hospital is already at work. I specially checked in before coming over. Come, have some porridge. I haven't brushed my teeth yet. Come, help me up." Shen Jilia's hand was hurting badly. He was alone in the ward, and even going to the bathroom was a little difficult. Now that someone was around, he naturally had to do his job properly. Xiao Zhou was on good terms with Shen Jielia. When he saw Shen Jielia like this, he sighed and said, "Why don't you come clean with sister-in-law? You can't go on like this. Your hand needs to be monitored. You can't be careless." "It's fine. If she sees this, she'll despise me." Shen Jielia sighed. His heart ached. From the beginning, he had been pestering Yi Qianqian. Yi Qianqian had never thought of marrying him. If she knew that he was in this state, how would she react? Xiao Zhou could tell that Shen Jielia didn't seem to be joking. He laughed and said, "How could that be? Sister-in-law would feel bad for her own man. How can a woman not feel bad for him?" Shen Jielia sat up with help. When he heard Xiao Zhou's words, he was silent for a moment before saying, "She's not the same. There's nothing different. Women are all like that, especially since you've lived with her for so long. Maybe she already sees you as her husband. Even if you're disabled, a woman can't despise you. You'd better ask sister-in-law to take care of you. I'm busy with work. I'm afraid that if something happens, I won't be able to take care of you. Go away. I'm a doctor after all. I know common sense. If you still can't do it, I'll press the nursing light. Go back to your work. I'll be fine." "That won't do. Why don't I go to your house and pack some clothes to change into? We still have to observe for a while. We can't just wear this, right? Go buy a few. Don't go back. Don't tell my woman." Little Zhou was speechless. He opened the kanji to cool and walked out. Feng Tongtong was alone in Yi Qianqian's house. She was bored. Shen Jielia had been out on his own for several days. Chapter 1747. It must be sister-in-law, right? Gu Yuanxing glanced at the screen and felt a little uneasy. Why did his sister-in-law call him? "I didn't do anything too serious, did I?" After some thought, Gu Yuanxing picked up the phone and answered the call. "Hello." It was a very young voice. Feng Tongtong's eyes lit up when she heard it. "Hello, is this Dr. Gu Yuanxing?" Yes. Sister-in-law." "Sister-in-law?" Feng Tongtong was stunned for a moment when he suddenly called her name. However, she quickly realized who he was referring to. "You've misunderstood. I'm not his girlfriend. I'm his girlfriend's best friend." Gu Yuanxing heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that and asked, "Then how did you get my number?" "Ah." Feng Tongtong was a little embarrassed. She stammered for a while before she said, "I just wanted to get to know more people, so old Shin gave me your name card." Gu Yuanxing nodded his head and didn't think too much about it. He asked, "Are you with sister-in-law now?" "Not yet. Qianqian went to work." "What's the matter?" "Well, since you called, I won't hide it from you. Something happened to Brother Shen recently. He lied when he said that he returned to the capital today. He was injured and didn't want sister-in-law to worry, so he didn't dare to tell the truth." Feng Tongtong was shocked when she heard that. "No way. Old Shen was injured? Is it serious?" "Sigh, it's pretty serious. His arm was stabbed 4 times, and every stab was very deep. There were even glass shards inside. One of them even injured an artery. After a blood transfusion, he's much better now. However, such a serious injury can't go unattended. Old Shen didn't dare tell his girlfriend because he was afraid that she would be worried. We were still wondering if we should hire a caregiver for him." "Hire a caregiver? Caregivers are extremely expensive." Feng Tongtong clicked her tongue and said, "There's no need to hire a caregiver. Mr. Gu, why don't you send me the address? I'll go take a look. If the injury is really serious, I'll tell Qianqian and ask her to take care of old Shin." Gu Yuanxing was quiet for a moment before he said, "All right. He's at Kingstown Huxin Hospital. Call me when you're here, and I'll tell you in person." "All right, I'll go right away." "Oh yes, why don't you prepare some clothes for Brother Shen? Brother Shen doesn't have any clothes in the hospital, and it's not convenient for me to look for sister-in-law." "All right, I'll tidy it up. Thank you." Gu Yuanxing heaved a sigh of relief. "I should be the one thanking you. Old Zhou was still thinking of buying it after work. There's no need for that now. How should I address you?" "Room, the room of the house." "Okay, See you later. Fong Tong Tong hung up the phone. After she changed her clothes, she hurriedly hailed a cab and left. When they arrived at the hospital, it was already half an hour later. Fong Tong Tong called Gu Yuanxing and walked into the inpatient department. The call was quickly answered. Where are you? I'm in the inpatient department. Hey, I think I saw you. Are you wearing a white dress with long black hair and carrying a black bag? Yes. Fong Tong Tong looked around and finally saw a young man wearing glasses at the end of the corridor. He was quite tall, and his face was powdered and powdered. He looked gentle and refined, and was quite tall. Chapter 1748. He was a handsome young man. Gu Yuanxing saw Fong Tong Tong and said, Hello, I'm Gu Yuanxing. Fong Tong Tong quickly reacted and nodded. Oh. Hello, I'm Fong Tong Tong. Gu Yuanxing smiled. He looked at the black bag in her hand and said, Is this Brother Shen's clothes? Give them to me. Yeah, I just took them. I don't know what he usually wears. I'm just staying at his house temporarily. Fong Tong Tong handed it over. It's okay. It's fine as long as you have them. Come with me. Gu Yuanxing brought Fong Tong Tong to Shen Jilia's ward. Shen Jilia was on an 4 drip. He sat on the bed and stared at his phone with a pale face. When he heard the door open, Shen Jilia looked up. When he saw Fong Tong Tong, his heart almost jumped out of his chest. Why are you here? Shen Jilia exclaimed in surprise. He quickly got up. However, just as he stood up, he sucked in a breath of cold air. Fong Tong Tong did not expect to see Shen Jilia like this. She was shocked. When she saw Shen Jilia's abnormally pale face, she was a little frightened. Fong Tong Tong shifted her gaze to Shen Jilia's arm. His arm was wrapped tightly, and blood was still seeping out. It was obvious that the injury was serious. How did you end up like this? Fong Tong Tong exclaimed. This is too tragic. If Qian saw this, she would be heartbroken. No, I have to call Qian. Your condition is too frightening. As she spoke, Fong Tong Tong had already picked up her phone. She found Qian's number and was about to call. Shen Jilia was shocked and said, No, Dr. Gu, quickly hold her down. You can't call my woman. Gu Yuanxing did not expect the lady to be so direct. She immediately picked up the phone. When he saw Shen Jilia's nervous expression, he quickly took the phone from Fong Tong Tong's hand and said, Miss Fong, please don't do this. Brother Shen doesn't want sister-in-law to know. That's why I chose to tell you. If you do this, won't I become a sinner? Gu Yuanxing pleaded, Miss Fong, please don't be rash. Fong Tong Tong's phone was being held. She frowned when she saw Shen Jilia's situation. Qian will be worried. Qian doesn't know about my injury, right? You didn't tell her, did you? Shen Jilia stood up. The wound on his arm was throbbing in pain. I didn't tell her, but you have no choice but to tell her about your condition. Fong Tong Tong felt that it was inappropriate. His arm was already in such a state. Shouldn't someone take care of him? No, I told her that I went to the capital. If I tell her now that I was lying to her, won't she hate me to death? But if I don't say it, Qian will definitely hate me. You're different. You're her best friend, and she values you very much. No matter what, she wouldn't break up with you, would she? Shen Jilia asked. Fong Tong Tong was speechless. Are you afraid that she'll break up with you? Shen Jilia was silent. Don't worry. It's impossible. Although Qian doesn't say it, she likes you very much. She loves you to death. It's impossible for her to break up with you. Chapter 1749. As soon as Gu Yuanxing heard that, he knew that Shen Jilia had come to settle scores with him. She subconsciously took a step back, coughed lightly, and said, Brother Shen, I'm doing this for your own good. Look, I even asked this girl to pack some clothes for you. As he spoke, he tugged at the bag. The clothes inside quickly fell to the ground and fell into a pile. Fong Tong Tong was a little embarrassed. I took everything from my suitcase. Last night, Qian prepared a few pieces of clothing for you and placed them in a small suitcase. I opened it up and took the clothes over, but I was in a hurry, so I casually scooped them up. Actually, I didn't know what was inside. Did Qian prepare this for me? Shen Jielia stared at the pile of clothes and felt a little happy. Well, didn't you say you were going back to the capital today? She packed it for you and waited for you to go home to get it. Gu Yuanqing's face was full of envy, jealousy, and hatred. Brother Shen, you're so lucky. You didn't even let sister-in-law know about this. Sigh, if sister-in-law knew, she would be so distressed. When Shen Jielia heard this, he felt a little smug. From the looks of it, Yi Qianqian's heart wasn't without him. Even though he didn't go back last night, she still knew to prepare clothes for him. However, if Yi Qianqian found out that he was lying to her, Shen Jielia sighed softly and said, "Let's wait for a few more days. We'll tell her when she's almost recovered. She's been very busy lately, and she hasn't been to work for a few days. We can't let her keep taking days off and running around." Most importantly, he didn't want her to worry. She looked at Feng Tongtong and said, "You should go back first. Don't tell her about this. Just pretend that you don't know anything about it." Feng Tongtong furrowed her brows and said, "How can I do that? If I know, I know. If I don't know, I don't know. If you want me to not tell Qianqian, that's fine too. Qianqian is more sensitive. If she finds out, she'll definitely be upset." Yes. Shen Jielia understood Yi Qianqian, but Feng Tongtong understood her even better. Although Yi Qianqian appeared carefree, she was more meticulous than most people. "Why don't you return to Cloud Town directly? That way, you won't have to hide it from Qianqian and go against your conscience." When Feng Tongtong heard that, she felt even more annoyed and said, "Are you saying that you want me to leave you here to fend for yourself? I have a bunch of colleagues here, and this is my territory. What do you mean by self-destruction?" Shen Jielia found it a little funny. "That's enough. It's none of your business. Go back." "No, Qianqian has been busy recently, and I just thought that you went back to the capital. I have nothing to do all day, and I know how you are now. Let me take care of you. Anyway, you have colleagues to do the hard work. I'll just buy you food and bring you water." "I think it's fine." Gu Yuanqing immediately replied, "Anyway, Brother Shen, you can only lie down now. Let Xiaofan accompany you to talk. How good would that be?" "Go to hell. No, men and women shouldn't touch each other. After all, I'm a single girl. What's the point of taking care of a man?" "No. Aya, why are you so pretentious? The girl doesn't even mind." Gu Yuanqing said, "Don't you think so, Xiaofang?" Chapter 1750. Gu Yuanqing clapped his hands. "Good. Well said. It's settled then. Brother Shin, I'm leaving. Little Feng, call me if you need anything. I'm ready to answer the phone any time." "Okay. Go ahead." Feng Tongtong smiled. Soon, Gu Yuanqing felt relieved, turned around, and walked out. Shen Jielia felt it was inappropriate. "You should go back. It's not appropriate for a man and a woman to be alone. Why are you so talkative? Can you move by yourself? Why don't I call Qianqian over?" The second half of the sentence hit Shen Jilia's soft spot. Shen Jilia pursed his lips and didn't say anything. From that day on, Feng Tongtong was busy running up and down the hospital. When Yi Qianqian went to work during the day, Feng Tongtong ran to the hospital. Feng Tongtong took care of ordering takeout, buying nutritious meals, changing medicine, pouring water, and other miscellaneous chores. If Shen Jilia needed to go to the bathroom, he would call for his buddies to help him. Feng Tongtong slowly returned home in the evening. This went on for 3 to 4 days in a row. It was the weekend. It was rare that Yi Qianqian didn't sleep in on the weekend. She picked up her phone and scrolled through Weibo. She couldn't bear to read anything else. She closed the page and opened her contact list. Ever since Shen Jilia returned to the capital, she had called Shen Jilia more than 20 times. Each call lasted no more than 10 minutes. More importantly, Yi Qianqian had been the one to make all the calls in the past 10 minutes. Shen Jilia hadn't taken the initiative to call her in the past few days. The more Yi Qianqian thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. She sent a text message. Yi Qianqian asked, "Are you awake?" There was no reply. She looked at the time. It was 8:30 in the morning. According to Shen Jilia's normal biological clock, he should be awake by now. Yi Qianqian wanted to call him, but she immediately regretted her decision before the call could go through. Yi Qianqian hung up the phone and walked out in frustration. At that moment, Fong Tongtong walked out of the bathroom. She had changed into clothes that were suitable for going out instead of her normal pajamas. Yi Qianqian was a little surprised. "Who are you going out with?" "Ah, haha." Fong Tongtong was a little embarrassed. "I'm going to meet a classmate. I haven't seen him in a long time." "Classmate? Who? You don't know him." "I don't know them?" Yi Qianqian found it strange. "Stop fooling around. Are there any classmates you know that I don't know?" "Ahaha, that's right. Didn't you choose fewer elective courses in university? That's when I met her. You've never seen her before." Yi Qianqian found it even stranger. "I wanted to go to the movies with you. Is the classmate you're talking about a guy or a girl? Don't tell me you're in love?" "Of course not." "Sigh, it's not that easy to fall in love." "Sigh, I'm going out." Fong Tongtong looked a little defeated. "You should continue to catch up on sleep. You've been working overtime for so many days. Get some rest." "When are you coming back?" "How about tonight?" "Oh. You've been coming home very late recently, and you've been spending time with your classmate? You leave early and return late, and you won't even let me see you. How dare you say that you're not dating?" Yi Qianqian's eyes were mischievous. "Tell me, who is the other party?" "Bah! Don't think too much about it. Hurry up and call your man." "Mua." Fong Tongtong put on her shoes and quickly ran off. Chapter 1751. The Ways of the World. Yi Qianqian slumped on the sofa out of boredom. She picked up her phone and clicked on the chat box with Shen Jilie. Shen Jilie's status on her WeChat was pinned at the top. His profile picture was of him wearing a white coat, and he looked like a proper person. She hadn't seen that face for days. She flipped through their chat history. Suddenly, her phone vibrated, and a new message came in. It was from WeChat. It was from Shen Jilie. Shen Jilie's message was a little strange. It was a few words. "Have you seen the stars?" Yi Qianqian blinked her eyes in confusion. "Sisai colon? Shen Jilie?" "Sisai. Yes, I have." Shen Jilie. "Have you seen a 5-pointed star?" "Sisai. Picture." Yi Qianqian drew a 5-pointed star and sent it over with a cheeky emoticon. Shen Jilie. "Have you seen a 4-pointed star?" "Sisai. Air. Are there stars with 4 corners?" Shen Jilie. "I miss you." At the same time that the message was sent, many 4-pointed stars fell from WeChat, glittering with golden light. Yi Qianqian's heart warmed when she saw it, and she chuckled. She opened the video call and made the call. However, Shen Jilie immediately rejected the call as soon as it was made. Shen Jilie's reply came immediately. "It's not convenient. The elders are talking." "Sisai, your elders are talking, and you have the nerve to be daydreaming in front of them. Are you tired of living?" Shen Jilie. "It doesn't matter. As long as you don't do it openly. I'm handsome, so I have special privileges." "Sisai. Are you shameless?" Shen Jilie. "Ha ha ha. Sisai. When are you coming back?" "Sisai. I miss you too." "Sisai. Tong Tong might be going back in a few days. Come back soon." Shen Jilie's heart warmed when he saw Yi Qianqian's words. She said that she missed him too. God knew how rare it was to hear such words from Yi Qianqian's mouth. However, looking at the water still dripping from his hand, he said, "I'm afraid it'll take a few more days. I won't be back so soon." Yi Qianqian was disappointed and asked, "Call me when you're ready." As soon as the message was sent, Shen Jilie's call came in. Yi Qianqian was pleasantly surprised. "Hello. You woke up so early?" Shen Jilie's voice sounded lazy and low. It was obvious that he had just woken up. When she heard the voice, Yi Qianqian felt a rush of heat in her heart. She became restless. Aren't you the elder talking? I said I had a stomachache, so I ran out." Shen Jilie said this calmly. "Life has been tough lately. I've been under pressure every day." Sigh. "Okay, then I'll talk to old Shen." "Thank you, comrade Little Goo." A loud female voice, a classic and familiar loud voice. Shen Jilie's heart skipped a beat. He was caught off guard when the door to the ward was opened. His beloved Fong Tongtong's voice was especially jarring. Shen Jilia subconsciously plugged his phone's microphone, but the moment he did so, Fong Tongtong's voice was cut off again. Chapter 1753. When Fong Tongtong saw Shen Jilia's expression, she immediately knew what was going on. He immediately closed his eyes, put his palms together in front of his eyes, and said sincerely, I'm sorry, old Shen. I really didn't mean it. I didn't know you were on the phone. The person who called just now was Qianqian, right? Shen Jilia's expression darkened, but he didn't answer her directly. He said, It's better if you don't come here anymore. My condition is much better now. I'll be discharged in a few days. I don't need your care anymore. Fong Tongtong's heart skipped a beat. How can we do that? No way. Shen Jilia frowned when he heard that. I can get up on my own now. I can even eat and go to the bathroom. I don't need anyone to take care of me anymore. Fong Tongtong also realized that she might have overreacted. After a moment of silence she said, You might think that your condition is much better, but Xiaogu just told me that your wound is still healing. It could reopen at any time. If it bleeds and becomes inflamed, it'll be very troublesome. Yi Qianqian looked at Fong Tongtong. Gu Yuanxing told you? Fong Tongtong nodded. Then tell Gu Yuanxing to come in and tell me. Fong Tongtong's expression darkened. Don't you trust me? I came here to take care of you for the past few days because you didn't want Qianqian to know, so I didn't dare to tell her about you. Every day when I'm with her, I'm afraid that I won't be able to stop myself from telling her. Do you know how tormented I am? Fong Tongtong's words were direct and carried an indescribable sense of grievance. Shen Jilia pursed his lips and remained silent. I'm Qianqian's best friend. Recently, Qianqian has been as busy as a spinning top. She gets off work very late every day. However, it's the weekend these 2 days, and you can't leave someone to take care of you. I think I'd better talk to her about it. As she spoke, Fong Tongtong had already picked up her phone and looked like she was about to make a call. Shen Jilia's expression darkened. Are you threatening me? How is this a threat? It's only right for your girlfriend to take care of you, but Qianqian has been so busy lately, and you're afraid that she'll tire herself out. As Qianqian's best friend, I have no choice but to help. Because of your request, I'm stuck in the middle, and now I'm being chased away by you. What the F***ck? As Fong Tongtong spoke, her eyes reddened. Turning around, he said, Forget it. It's the weekend anyway. Go and call her over yourself. These words, Shen Jilia felt a headache coming on. He raised his hand and shouted, Wait a minute. Why are you looking for Qianqian now? I already told her that I'm in the capital. Aren't you trying to slap me in the face? Then what should I do? You won't let me stay here, and you can't be alone here. If you get infected by yourself, it'll be fatal. Do you want me to watch my best friend's boyfriend die in front of me? Shen Jilia was speechless. He could only feel the pain from the wound on his arm. Forget it, I'm hungry. What did you buy? Fong Tongtong's back was facing Shen Jilia, and the corners of her lips curled up. But he quickly restrained himself, turned around, and opened the lunchbox he had just bought, and said, Light porridge. Shen Jilia had asked Gu Yuanxing about it, and it was indeed Gu Yuanxing who had said that. This was because the possibility of infection had been greatly reduced. Now, the probability had become very, very small, but they still had to be prepared. Chapter 1754. However, time seemed to be crawling at a snail's pace. On Sunday, Yi Qianqian slept the entire day at home. When she woke up, it was already evening. The dim light in the surroundings made everything look like it was covered with a layer of gray veil. The lights in the house weren't turned on, and Fong Tongtong hadn't returned yet. Yi Qianqian looked at everything in front of her, and waves of emptiness assaulted her heart. Inexplicably, she felt as if she had been abandoned by the entire world. Loneliness, solitude. Her heart ached. Yi Qianqian reached for her phone and looked at the time. It was 7 o'clock in the evening. Yi Qianqian tapped on her contact list and immediately dialed the number that she was extremely familiar with. The call was quickly picked up. There was a burst of noise before Shen Jilia's voice could be heard. Shen Jilia coughed heavily before asking, What's wrong? Yi Qianqian's heart felt empty, and she felt extremely uncomfortable. She stood up and turned on the lights. It was a little blinding, but at least the feeling of emptiness had faded a lot. I just woke up and dreamed of you. Yi Qianqian sat on the bed and narrowed her eyes. Guess what I dreamed of? Well, if you can dream of me, it's definitely not an empty dream. It's probably that your mind was filled with my handsome face, and you couldn't walk because of my handsomeness? Shen Jilia made a soft sound. Brother Shen, can you be a little more shameless? When Yi Qianqian heard the sound, she laughed out loud. Look, even your colleagues are saying that you're shameless. Can't you speak properly? Well, let me guess. You dreamed that we got married? Then we gave birth to an adorable daughter? Then we held our daughter's hand together, and the family of 3 happily went to school. During the day, we went to school and went to work separately. At night, we went home together and dreamed together. Yi Qianqian's heart warmed, but she still retorted, that's called daydreaming. I really did have that kind of dream. After Shen Jilia said that, he immediately realized what was going on. What did you dream of just now? I dreamed that we broke up. Then, you went around crying, telling everyone that I had dumped you and that I was fooling around outside. I went around saying that it wasn't me. As Yi Qianqian spoke, she chuckled. But you kept slandering me. You said that I cheated on you and that I had another man outside. Then, my reputation was ruined. Everyone was spitting on me. Then, I woke up in shock. Shen Jilia was silent for a moment before he said, that's what you call daydreaming. You can't even dream about breaking up with me. I'll go. Yi Qianqian felt much more at ease after hearing his words. Her stomach growled and she immediately said, I'm hungry. I'm going to eat. Bye. Hello. Shen Jilia wanted to say something else, but Yi Qianqian had already hung up. Chapter 1755. There was a hint of ambiguity in Yi Qianqian's words. When Feng Tongtong saw it, she felt a little guilty. She averted her eyes, not daring to meet Yi Qianqian's eyes. She said bashfully, What little boyfriend? There's nothing like that. Nothing. Yi Qianqian leaned over. Why are you blushing if there's nothing like that? Wow, Feng Tongtong actually knows how to be shy? Quick, tell me what kind of person is that man? Is he handsome? Feng Tongtong felt even more uneasy. She turned her head away and said, Don't overthink it. He's not a man. Ha! If he's not a man, you leave early and return late every day? Yi Qianqian clearly did not believe her. Teske. When Feng Tongtong saw Yi Qianqian skillfully cooking noodles, the guilt in her heart lessened a little. But I really didn't expect that you would get into a relationship so soon after coming to Kingstown. You'll have to come to Kingstown more often in the future. Yi Qianqian extinguished the fire and sat down on the sofa with the noodles. Feng Tongtong looked at her. Her heart was beating a little fast. She sat down in front of Yi Qianqian and said, Actually, I'm not going on a date recently. He was injured, so I went to the hospital to take care of him. Injured? What happened? It was a work injury. I'm not too sure about the details, but the injury was pretty serious. He had to get 12 stitches on his arm, and his artery was injured. He's still in the hospital after a blood transfusion. Yi Qianqian gasped. That can't be. Is his hand all right? It's fine. Fortunately, it didn't hurt his nerves. As long as he recuperates, his hand will be fine. Feng Tongtong looked at Yi Qianqian and smiled. He's much better now. That's good. That's good. But what kind of job is this? It's too dangerous. His hand was perfectly fine, and it ended up like this. His life might be in danger in the future. Yi Qianqian was frightened when she heard that. You have to make a good choice when it comes to marriage. Tell him to quit when he's better. Feng Tongtong laughed. It's just an exception. It's not as dangerous as it is every day. This job is still very stable. What do you do? Doctor, haven't the doctor-patient relationship been a little tense lately? I can't help it even if I bump into them occasionally. Feng Tongtong shrugged. Doctor? What a coincidence. Haha. Old Shen is also a doctor, but he's a psychiatrist. He's nothing compared to those doctors who can save lives with a knife. Bring me to meet him if there's a chance. Yi Qianqian was surprised. Yeah. Feng Tongtong felt a little guilty and lowered her head. I'll bring him home when he's better. Great, what does he look like? He looks good when he smiles. His teeth are very neat, and he loves to smile. He's also very tall and has fair skin, but he's very masculine. He likes to work out, and he's healthy, sunny, and handsome. Feng Tongtong's face was filled with fascination when she talked about this person. Yi Qianqian looked at her with a mischievous glint in her eyes. It looks like you've really fallen for him this time. A man that you like must be very outstanding, right? Of course he is very, very outstanding. I like him very, very much. Ha ha ha, does she like you? Of course. Feng Tongtong's face heated up. Otherwise, it's just that I'm too busy shaving my head. It's boring. Yi Qianqian patted her on the shoulder and said, That's good. Get along well. When you get married, I'll be your bridesmaid. Chapter 1757. It was a sleepless night. Perhaps it was because she had slept too much during the day, or perhaps it was because of the increasingly strange thoughts in her heart, but she couldn't fall asleep no matter how hard she tossed and turned. The next day, Feng Tongtong still woke up early. When Yi Qianqian saw her putting on her shoes in the entryway, she asked, Did you go out? Yeah. Feng Tongtong seemed to be in a good mood as she hummed a tune. When Yi Qianqian saw Feng Tongtong's expression, she casually asked, Which hospital does your boyfriend work at? Ah. Feng Tongtong was taken aback. She suddenly felt guilty and laughed. At a not-so-big hospital. Private enterprise? Not really. What's your name? Feng Tongtong didn't know what to say. She couldn't possibly say that it was Huxin Hospital, could she? He suddenly remembered the name of a hospital that he had inadvertently memorized last time and said, Fengqi Hospital. Damn, that hospital is a Class 3 Grade A hospital. How can it be a small hospital? Feng Tongtong felt a little awkward. She laughed dryly and said, I don't really understand either. I'll be leaving first. Wait for me, I'm ready too. I have to go to work. Let's go together. After Yi Qianqian was done drying the clothes, she went to her room to retrieve her bag. She put on her shoes and walked toward Feng Tongtong. Feng Tongtong looked at the time with an indecipherable expression on her face. Let's go. The two of them got off the elevator. There was a bus stop at the entrance of the neighborhood. Yi Qianqian walked toward the bus stop and waved at Feng Tongtong. I'm going to work. Feng Tongtong nodded and waved her hand as she hailed a taxi. Fengqi Hospital was on the opposite side of the bus stop. It was not far from here. It would only take about 10 minutes to walk there. When Yi Qianqian looked at the taxi, she realized that it had originally been moving in the same direction, but it had deliberately turned around and headed in the opposite direction. Yi Qianqian frowned when she saw that. Feng Tongtong was lying to her. The doubts that had tormented her for the whole night were magnified at this moment. Yi Qianqian saw an empty car driving over from afar. She stopped it and pointed at the car that Feng Tongtong was in and said, Follow that car. The chauffeur gave Yi Qianqian a strange look but didn't ask any questions. He quickly drove off. There were many cars coming and going during the rush hour. Yi Qianqian sent a message to her supervisor to ask for a leave of absence. After a lot of negotiation, she was finally granted her leave. Feng Tongtong's car drove further and further away. About 20 minutes later, she finally stopped. Huxin Hospital. When Yi Qianqian stopped, the sense of crisis that had been lurking in her heart suddenly rose. But it was quickly suppressed. No. It was just a coincidence. Yi Qianqian refused to believe her. Chapter 1758. His familiarity with the ward did not show any awareness of entering someone else's boyfriend's ward. Feng Tongtong quickly closed the door. Yi Qianqian leaned against the door and picked up her phone. After turning his phone to silent mode, he sent a WeChat message to Shen Jilia. Are you awake? The phone inside rang. It was Shen Jilia. The last sliver of hope that Yi Qianqian was holding on to shattered inch by inch. His originally enthusiastic heart also cooled down inch by inch. You're eating this again? Can't you come up with something new? Shen Jilia's voice was filled with disdain. Yi Qianqian's heart felt as if it had been struck by something. The originally bright and clean mirror instantly cracked. Her phone vibrated. It was a reply from Shen Jilia. Shen Jilia, I've been woken up by my own handsomeness. Yi Qianqian gripped her phone tightly. Her throat hurt. Yi Qianqian deliberately searched for the airport's address and sent it over. Sisai, pick me up in the afternoon. I'm coming for you. Shen Jilia was inside, and when he saw the news, his body trembled. What's wrong? Feng Tongtong asked. Qianqian wants to go to the capital to look for me. Shen Jilia felt a headache coming on. Gosh, how am I supposed to play this game? Sisai, I have a surprise for you, ha ha ha, aren't you in the capital? Shen Jilia, of course I'm in the capital. It's just that I'm overwhelmed with work at home. It's best if you don't come. Sisai, you were the one who told me to meet your parents, and now you're telling me not to go. Are you crazy? Sisai, do you not want me to see your parents anymore? Have you changed your mind? Falling in love with someone else? Shen Jilia, how is that possible? I'll have to meet my parents sooner or later, but now isn't the right time. Sisai, then tell me clearly, is it you who won't let me go, or is it your grandma's parents who won't let me go? Shen Jilia, it's me. I don't think the timing is right. Sisai, why is the timing not right? Shen Jilia, busy at home. Sisai, I want to hear the truth. Shen Jilia, I'm really busy. Yi Qianqian's heart sank when she read his words. Clutching his phone, he felt as if his heart was being pricked by needles. Shen Jilia looked at his phone and realized that Yi Qianqian wasn't replying to him anymore. After some thought, Shen Jilia called Yi Qianqian. Yi Qianqian looked at the phone and refused to answer it. Shen Jilia panicked and made another call. Yi Qianqian composed herself and took a deep breath before answering the call. Shen Jilia was delighted and quickly called out, Hey, Qianqian. Yes. Where are you now? I came to find you. That. I've been busy lately, so. Is that so? Yi Qianqian no longer lowered her voice. He turned to the side and pushed the door open. Feng Tongtong sat on a stool by the bed and was preparing breakfast. Shen Jilia leaned against the headboard and was on the phone. Chapter 1759. Shen Jilia couldn't react at all. He stared at Yi Qianqian for a moment before he mumbled, Qianqian. Yi Qianqian opened the door wider and walked forward. Feng Tongtong looked at Yi Qianqian. She wanted to say something, but when she opened her mouth, no words came out. Awkward. Especially when she thought about what she said to Yi Qianqian the night before, Feng Tongtong felt that her current posture was a little ugly. Best friend. Boyfriend. Best friend's boyfriend. Since everyone is here, there are some things that we should all be clear about. Yi Qianqian's lips were slightly curved, but her uneven breathing clearly revealed her feelings at that moment. She wasn't as calm as she appeared to be. Shen Jilia's heart skipped a beat. He immediately stood up and walked forward. But before he could say anything, he saw Yi Qianqian walk forward. Yi Qianqian's cheeks, which were usually gentle and playful, were abnormally red. Yi Qianqian gritted her teeth and walked forward. She raised her hand and slapped it hard. Slap. The loud sound of the slap was especially loud in the quiet ward. Shen Jilia was stunned by the slap. He felt a burning sensation on his cheek, and Yi Qianqian's expression was almost contorted, but she still tried her best to maintain a calm expression. Yi Qianqian was furious. Feng Tongtong exclaimed in surprise. She immediately stood up and explained, Qianqian, you've misunderstood. I don't have the kind of relationship you think I have with him. In Yi Qianqian's ears, Feng Tongtong's words sounded more like a proud boast. Ha ha. Yi Qianqian looked at Feng Tongtong. Her voice was so cold that even she found it strange. Is this the doctor boyfriend you were talking about? Mutual affection? Feng Tongtong felt as if she had bitten her tongue. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't say a word. Yes, she was the one who said it. She was the one who said all the words. Qianqian. Shen Jilia held Yi Qianqian's hand uneasily. Let go. Yi Qianqian was on the verge of breaking down. Her voice was already choking. Shen Jilia, what do you take me for? Shen Jilia panicked. He grabbed her hand and squeezed it tightly. I just don't want you to worry. Get lost. Let go of Shenjilia. We're done for. Yi Qianqian flung his hand off forcefully and bellowed, Go to hell with the capital. Go to hell with your work. Qianqian. Feng Tongtong panicked as well. She had grown up with Yi Qianqian and had never seen Yi Qianqian in such a state. I'm sorry, Qianqian. F*CKU. I'm sorry, B*TCH. Yi Qianqian retreated and suddenly laughed. Do you like to steal from others? Fine, I'll give it to you. I don't care for such a piece of *T. Feng Tongtong's breathing quickened. She found it hard to believe that Yi Qianqian would have such a side to her. Her hysterical words fell into Shen Jilia's ears. It was as if Yi Qianqian had taken a hoe and was viciously digging into his heart. Chapter 1760. Everyone turned to look at her. Shen Jilia was holding her hand. It was his right hand. It was his right arm that had received 12 stitches. Yi Qianqian didn't hold back. Shen Jilia grunted, but he didn't loosen his grip on her arm. I told you about the female patient a few days ago. Do you remember her? It's her. Let go. Yi Qianqian calmed down, but her voice was as cold as ice. Shen Jilia panicked even more. When he saw Yi Qianqian like this, the words that were on the tip of his tongue were stuck in his throat like a fish bone. He couldn't get them out. Qianqian. I told you to let go. Are you deaf? Yi Qianqian screamed hysterically. More and more people gathered to watch. Lao Zhou was attracted by the noise. He squeezed into the crowd and saw Yi Qianqian holding Shen Jilia. When he saw the blood on Shen Jilia's arm, he was even more shocked. He ran forward and asked, Brother Shen, what happened? As he shouted, he rushed forward and grabbed Shen Jilia's hand. Oh my God, do you want to die? Let go. If you don't let go, your hand will be crippled. Shen Jilia's eyes were fixed on Yi Qianqian. Qianqian, I didn't mean to lie to you. I just didn't want you to worry. Let go. This is the last time. Although Yi Qianqian's face was red, her eyes were extremely calm. She looked at Shen Jilia coldly. I heard that if you bite your tongue into an artery, you'll die. Her voice was as cold as ice. She looked at Shen Jilia indifferently. Her expression was cold and determined. It was Shen Jilia's first time seeing Yi Qianqian like this. He was a little scared. His hand unconsciously loosened. Yi Qianqian flung him aside forcefully and strode forward. Yi Qianqian. Shen Jilia shouted and instinctively wanted to chase after her. However, Lao Zhou quickly grabbed him and said, Brother Shen, you don't want your hand anymore? Shen Jilia roared. No. He pushed Lao Zhou away and chased after her. However, there were many people in the corridor. Yi Qianqian squeezed into the crowd. By the time Shen Jilia caught up with her, he had already lost sight of her. Shen Jilia looked at the corridor and strode out. He looked left and right, but in the end, he didn't see anything. Lao Zhou caught up with him, looking a little nervous. Brother Shen, you should take care of your wound as soon as possible. Look, it's bleeding. If it gets infected, it won't be a joke. Where's my woman? Shen Jilia turned to look at Lao Zhou. Have you seen her? Where did she go? Lao Zhou was stunned. He hadn't been paying attention to the girl at all. All his attention was on Shen Jilia's arm. Lao Zhou didn't know how to respond to Shen Jilia's question. Shen Jilia gritted his teeth. Give me the phone. When Elder Zhou heard this roar, he knew that the situation was getting serious. Shen Jilia snatched the phone from her and dialed Yi Qianqian's number. Yi Qianqian turned around and ran into the fire escape door. Chapter 1761. It was over. It was time to end it. She had a best friend and a boyfriend. It was time to end it. She closed her eyes tightly and turned to walk to Basement 1. Basement 1 and Basement 2 were both underground parking lots. Neither Shen Jilia nor Feng Tongtong could go there. Yi Qianqian jogged down the stairs. Her phone began to vibrate. She picked it up and saw an unknown number. She was in Kingstown. She didn't think anyone else would call her at a time like this except for Shen Jilia or Feng Tongtong. She glanced at the number, hung up, and switched off her phone. Shen Jilia searched the entire hospital, regardless of whether it was the corridors or the doors. He also asked the patients, nurses, and doctors who were passing by. But no one saw him. It was as if he was hiding on purpose and didn't want Shen Jielia to find him. Feng Tongtong followed behind Shen Jielia. Lao Zhou looked at Shen Jielia awkwardly and said, "Brother Shen, you can't do this. Your hand." Hand? Shen Jielia glanced at his arms. His hands, which had been properly bandaged, were now stained red with blood. It looked a little scary. Shen Jielia only realized that his arm was hurting when he saw it. "Yeah," Shen Jielia replied. His pale face turned even uglier. "Let's go. No matter what, you have to take care of yourself first before you explain this misunderstanding to sister-in-law." Lao Zhou scratched his head. He was already clumsy, but he didn't know what else to say. He subconsciously glanced at Feng Tongtong. Lao Zhou felt even more awkward. He had always thought that Miss Feng was Shen Jilia's boyfriend. He had been calling her sister-in-law for so many days. He was wondering why Shen Jilia didn't seem to be that passionate toward Feng Tongtong. He thought he was a hypocrite and didn't love his girlfriend as much as he appeared to love her. He didn't expect it to be a misunderstanding. In this way everything made sense. Feng Tongtong had been trying to get close to Shen Jilia, but Shen Jilia's attitude was neither too close nor too distant. Lao Zhou didn't think it was appropriate for this girl. When almost everyone who knew Shen Jilia started calling her sister-in-law, she had never denied it. Otherwise, why would he think so? Based on Shen Jilia's reaction, it was obvious that the girl was his real girlfriend. It was obvious that their relationship had fallen apart. Shen Jilia walked back to his room like a zombie. He retrieved his cell phone and dialed Yi Yuyu's number. Yi Yuyu was still sleeping. It was rare for Li Jinnan to be at home with his wife. When he saw that the caller was Shen Jilia, he didn't hesitate to answer the call. "What's up?" His voice was light and carried the laziness of someone who just woke up. When Shen Jilia heard Li Jinnan's voice, he was silent for a moment before asking, "Where's Yuyu?" "He's asleep." "What's the matter?" "I'll pass on the message for you." "Did Qian call her?" "No." Chapter 1762. Did they quarrel? Shen Jilia chuckled, but his eyes were slightly red. "If only it were that simple. That's all. Let me know if I call you again." "Okay." After hanging up, Shen Jilia passed the phone to Yu Lily. Yi Qian didn't have many friends. Other than her best friend Feng Tongtong, Yu Lily was the closest to her. The phone rang a few times, but no one picked up. Shen Jilia gripped his phone tightly. Yu Lily was also pregnant, so she was probably still asleep. This also meant that it was very likely that Yi Qian hadn't called her at all. Otherwise, Yu Lily would have long been awake. As expected, the call was quickly connected. It was exactly as Shen Jilia had expected. Shen Jilia hung up the phone in defeat and allowed his colleague to treat his wound. Feng Tongtong stood far away and looked at Shen Jilia, not daring to approach. Suddenly, Shen Jilia looked over. Feng Tongtong suddenly tensed up. Her entire body tensed up as she looked at Shen Jilia. Shen Jilia stared at Feng Tongtong for a long time before saying, "You should go back to Yun Town. It's already chaotic enough." He didn't scold or complain. There was only this kind of estrangement that was so obvious that it made people's hearts feel stuffy. It was cold and determined, without the slightest bit of mercy. Although Shen Jilia wasn't close to her these days, he had never treated her with such an attitude. But I'm very curious. Aren't you Qian's best friend? Why didn't you say a word when she was so angry just now? Based on her trust in you, she would believe you as long as you explain." Shen Jilia's voice was a little sharp, and it could even be said to be a little aggressive. Feng Tongtong held her breath. She didn't know what to say. Gu Yuanxing heard the commotion and rushed over. He heard Shen Jilia's words the moment he entered. When he heard that, he knew things weren't simple. He was about to speak up for Feng Tongtong when he saw Shen Jilia's slightly swollen face the moment he entered. It was red and swollen. Gu Yuanxing swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue and said, "Brother Shen, your face." Shen Jilia's eyes were fixed on Feng Tongtong as he asked indifferently, "Did you tell her something else?" Feng Tongtong's eyes were fixed on Shen Jilia. Feng Tongtong didn't know how to respond to his interrogation. Or rather, when faced with such a Shen Jilia, Her reflexes had been forced to slow down by half a beat. She did something bad. But how could she say it? How could she say it here? I didn't. Qianqian's personality has always been like this. You've lived with her for so long. You know her very well, don't you? She's always been like this since she was young. She'll be happy if things go her way, and she'll make a fuss if things don't go her way. Feng Tongtong looked at Shen Jielia. But this was the truth, wasn't it? Yes, that was the truth. That's the kind of person Qianqian is. She likes to make a mountain out of a molehill. The only reason she's treating you like this now is because she doesn't love you enough. Otherwise, why wouldn't she listen to your explanation? Chapter 1763. Feng Tongtong's words were harsh and hurtful. When the people in the ward heard that, they couldn't help but look at each other. Finally, their gazes fell on Shen Jielia. Shen Jielia's face, which was already dark to begin with, darkened. For a long time, Shen Jielia had always given people the impression of a warm spring breeze. He was an outstanding man who relied on his own strength to sit in this position at such a young age. Shen Jielia was not only capable, but he also had an enviable temper. Everyone there was the same. They had never seen Shen Jielia with such an expression. What business is it of yours? Shen Jielia looked at Feng Tongtong coldly. I know how my own woman treats me. There was not the slightest warmth in his gaze. Feng Tongtong was a little frightened by Shen Jielia's behavior. She mumbled, How can it have nothing to do with me? Yi Qianqian is my best friend. She can slap you indiscriminately now, but what about next time? Have you thought about what will happen next time? Yi Qianqian has always been this unruly and willful. She doesn't care about other people's feelings at all. You heard what she said just now. It's obvious that she misunderstood us, but she didn't even listen to our explanation. Aren't you angry at all? Yi Qianqian looked at Shen Jielia. Feng Tongtong, Shen Jielia interrupted her and said coldly, You claim that Yi Qianqian is your bestie, but based on what I know, a bestie is equivalent to a brother in a man's circle. When Feng Tongtong heard that, she didn't know what he was trying to say. She looked at Shen Jielia and didn't know what to do. To be honest, if my brother talked bad about me in front of my girlfriend like this, I wouldn't hesitate to break up with him. Feng Tongtong was shocked and tried to defend herself. But I'm telling the truth. The truth? Shen Jielia's expression darkened even further. Yi Qianqian treats you with all her heart. What about you? You're telling her boyfriend the truth? Old Shen, I'm doing this for your own good. Feng Tongtong's voice sounded much weaker than before. That's enough. Shen Jielia smiled, but there was an indescribable sarcasm in his smile. It's all my fault. Shen Jielia. Feng Tongtong was at a loss. You should leave. I don't think there's anything left to say between us. Shen Jielia looked away and looked at the wound that he had just bandaged. I don't think Qianqian needs a bestie like you anymore. Feng Tongtong subconsciously recalled Yi Qianqian's near breakdown state earlier. At the same time, she also recalled what Yi Qianqian had said to her the night before. Best friend. The hospital's underground parking lot was huge. It was so huge that it took Yi Qianqian more than 10 minutes to walk out of the hospital. The people who came and went seemed to have witnessed the farce just now, and there might be people who recognized her, so they took a few more glances at her. Chapter 1764. Yi Qianqian walked to the side of the road in a daze and looked for a taxi. When she got in the taxi, the driver glanced at her and asked, Where to? To where? Yi Qianqian didn't know either. Go home? No, she didn't want to go home. When she thought about how Feng Tongtong had intruded into the happy nest she thought she had with Shen Jielia, she couldn't help but feel disgusted. Her best friend had become a mistress. How could she encounter such a melodramatic thing? Yi Qianqian's lips twitched and she asked, Do you know any fun places around here? It's not a stupid place to go alone. The driver could tell that Yi Qianqian was in a bad mood and asked, Are you in a bad mood? Yeah. Did you quarrel with your boyfriend? We broke up. Of course I have to eat alone when I'm heartbroken. Have you eaten? No. Yi Qianqian pursed her lips and touched her stomach. I'm really hungry. Do you know where to go now? I don't know. Yi Qianqian pursed her lips, and she couldn't hold back her tears. That B** starred usually cooks. The driver was speechless. When he saw her like this, he sighed and said, "I'll take you to a good place. My wife likes to eat desserts there. I heard it's delicious there." "Yeah." Yi Qianqian nodded with tears in her eyes. "Thank you, sir." The driver looked at her sympathetically through the rearview mirror and quickly started the car. The driver sent Yi Qianqian to a famous high-end shopping mall in the city. Yi Qianqian followed the driver's instructions and walked over. There was a dessert shop at the bottom of the shopping mall. The decoration looked very elegant. After Yi Qianqian walked in, she randomly ordered a few desserts. Looking around, she saw that the people around her were either couples or families. Yi Qianqian sat alone on a chair and looked at the empty seat across from her. She felt stupid. Her red eyes were burning, and she couldn't hold back her tears. The restaurant was very quiet. Yi Qianqian lowered her head and covered her mouth. She leaned against the table, and her shoulders trembled slightly. She bit her lower lip hard to prevent herself from crying. No one noticed her. When the waitress served the dessert, she noticed Yi Qianqian's trembling shoulders and thoughtfully placed the dish on the table. She gently knocked on the table and softly said, "Eat it while it's hot. It won't taste as good when it's cold." Yi Qianqian raised her head slightly and glanced at the exquisite dishes in front of her. She sniffed and reached out to pull them over. "Thank you." His voice was low and choked with sobs. The waiter smiled and quickly left. But when he returned, he was holding a small toy in his hand. It was a small doll in the classic Super Mario style, small and cute. The waiter pressed a button, and then the Super Mario ringtone sounded. It was cute and funny. With tears in her eyes, Yi Qianqian raised her head and glanced at the waitress. Chapter 1765. Yi Qianqian looked up and saw the five-star hotel directly across the street. Next to the hotel was a KTV. Yi Qianqian booked a room and ordered 24 beers. The reason was that the most cost-effective drink here was beer. Buy 1 dozen, get 1 dozen free. Yi Qianqian asked for the smallest private room in the most remote corner of the room and chose all the songs on the charts. Yi Qianqian leaped onto the table and howled, "I'm dead. Love them all." The waiter stood at the door and frowned as he listened. That was King awful. At first, the waiters would come and take a few glances, but in the end, they couldn't stand it anymore and no one approached. Yi Qianqian downed bottle after bottle. When it came to beer, Yi Qianqian never restrained herself. In the past, Yi Qianqian would drink a cup or two if she had nothing to do. However, ever since she started dating Shen Jilia, Yi Qianqian had stopped drinking. First, it was because Shen Jilia didn't like it. Second, it was because Shen Jilia refused to buy it. This time, he had to drink to his heart's content. Yi Qianqian gulped down a few bottles. Suddenly, a familiar melody filled the air. She used to like a song very much, Fan Weiqi's, "One Like Summer, One Like Autumn." "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't believe it. A friend is more devoted than a lover. Even if I'm too busy dating to freeze you. You don't hate me. You just yell at me. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be sure. A friend listens better than a lover. My unspoken words, my thoughtless words. I can't leave, darling, and I can't leave you." Yi Qianqian screamed out the lyrics in tears and threw the microphone away in the end. "Go to hell with your bestie," Yi Qianqian screamed. Tears streamed down her cheeks. He sat down and opened a few more bottles. From 11 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Yi Qianqian had already drunk more than a dozen bottles. She was lying on the sofa, groggy and half dead. "Pop!" Yi Qianqian burped, stood up, and stumbled into the bathroom. After the water was drained, the loud music in the room was still playing. She was the only one in the small room, and the floor was littered with wine bottles. Yi Qianqian leaned back on the sofa, her whole body sprawled out. "Ah! Ah!" Yi Qianqian was lying down when she suddenly rummaged through her bag. He took out the phone that had been switched off for a long time and turned it on. The words on the phone were no longer clear. Yi Qianqian couldn't even tell whether it was one word or two. After staring at the screen for a long time, she finally saw that Shen Jilia had made more than 20 calls. There were more than 40 missed calls. "Shen Jilia, Fong Tong Tong, Yu Lily, Yi Yu Yu, There were quite a lot of people. There were also hundreds of WeChat messages and a series of messages bombarding him. Yi Qianqian chuckled. She opened the keyboard and dialed a string of numbers that she had memorized by heart. However, when she dialed the number, it turned into 3 words. Shan Jilia. It was as if the person on the other end of the line had been waiting for her call. As soon as the call connected, Shan Jilia immediately picked it up. Hello. Burp. Yi Qianqian snorted and didn't say a word. When Shan Jilia heard the voice, he was delighted. Qianqian, is that you? Where are you? Shen. Jilia? It's me. Are you drunk? I'll pick you up now. Dash. This sentence was like a magic sound lingering in his ears, lingering in his mind. Just wishful thinking? Yi Qianqian had always made it very clear that she didn't want to get married for the time being. Chapter 1767. Under such circumstances, Shen Jilia couldn't be sure how much of what he said was true and how much was false. Perhaps Yi Qianqian only wanted to test his loyalty to her under those circumstances, or perhaps Yi Qianqian was serious. However, there was no doubt that even if Yi Qianqian had such intentions, it had been completely erased by his adultery with Feng Tongtong. Shen Jilia sat on the sofa in frustration. He scratched his head as he listened to the silence on the other end of the phone. Even if he really had a chance, he had already dug his own grave. This feeling was even more unbearable than not having one in the first place. Defeat. Many things in Shen Jilia's life had been smooth sailing. He had always prided himself on his intelligence. This was the first time he had encountered such an embarrassing situation. Shen Jilia closed his eyes. After some time, Yi Qianqian's voice suddenly came from the other end. Shen Jilia. Shen Jilia perked up and immediately sat up straight. I'm here. However, the voice on the other end seemed to be just sleep-talking. Very soon, there was no sound. Shen Jilia. The voice was extremely soft and soft. Shen Jilia quietly listened to the movements on the other end and said softly, Qianqian, tell me where you are. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Yi Qianqian heard a low intake of breath on the other end. She sounded extremely aggrieved, but she didn't cry out. Qianqian. Yi Qianqian's stomach was full of water. It didn't take long for her to want to use the toilet. She subconsciously sniffled and got up. Vaguely, she seemed to hear Shen Jilia's voice. However, after looking around, she couldn't find anything. Yi Qianqian didn't care. She stumbled into the bathroom in the private room. After turning on the water, she felt extremely thirsty. When she walked out, she saw a bottle of beer and opened it. Yi Qianqian tilted her head back and took a big gulp. She gulped down half a bottle in one go. Yi Qianqian wiped her mouth and looked up at the screen. The song was still playing, but Yi Qianqian had turned off the volume. Yi Qianqian pressed the button to play the song again. Shen Jilia immediately heard the exaggerated and terrifying music. Caught off guard, Shen Jilia jumped in fright. He looked at his cell phone and confirmed that he was indeed on the line with Yi Qianqian. Yi Qianqian hollered into the microphone, Of course it's my fault. Why did you suddenly leave and leave me behind? Why did you see through it so quickly? Why did you leave me behind? A drunken voice with a lisp. There were even some parts that were read out directly, and the tone couldn't even keep up. Shen Jilia was speechless. KTV. Drinking in a KTV? Shen Jilia immediately got up, opened the door, and walked out. Yi Qianqian finished all the beer, and her face was shockingly hot. Her head was dizzy. She grabbed her bag and stumbled out. I'm home. Yi Qianqian muttered under her breath. She pressed the button for the elevator and went downstairs. He looked around. A drunken woman like Yi Qianqian was very eye-catching. His whole body reeked of beer as he stumbled along with a bag. What Yi Qianqian had always wanted to do, but was reluctant to do, was to splurge on a night at a 5-star hotel. As the saying goes, drinking boosts courage. Chapter 1768. The waitress had been watching Yi Qianqian for a long time. When she saw Yi Qianqian drinking alone, she couldn't stand it anymore. When she came back from the bathroom, she was gone. At first, she thought that the woman had gone to the bathroom. But after going back and forth 3 times, she was nowhere to be found. In the end, the waiter still walked in, but as soon as he entered, he smelled an extremely unpleasant smell of alcohol, as well as the nauseating stench of vomit. She pinched her nose and looked around again. Then, she saw a cell phone on the sofa. The cell phone was a beautiful rose gold color. She picked it up and saw a call page on it. The call had been connected for nearly 2 hours. The waiter clicked his tongue when he saw that the phone was indeed clean. He then turned off the music, picked up the phone, and put it to his ear. Hello. Shen Jilia was blindly searching the KTV near his home. He kept an eye on the cell phone for any signs of activity. The sudden sound of a man's voice made Shen Jilia's entire body tense up. Almost reflexively, Shen Jilia's eyes narrowed and he asked, "Who are you?" When the waitress heard the voice, she knew that the caller was not friendly. She coughed lightly and said, "Hello, who is the owner of this cell phone to you?" "She's my woman." "Where is she?" "This lady is drunk. She should have left by now, but her cell phone is still in the private room." "She left? Where did she go?" Shen Jilia's heart was in his throat. "How could you do this? You didn't even look after the client. How could you let a drunk woman leave?" We can't control the client's freedom to come and go, but she should have just left. She shouldn't have gone far." "Where is your place? Give me the address immediately." "I'll be there right now." The waitress gave the address and left the cell phone at the front desk. Shen Jilia hailed a cab and realized that the place was very far away. It was more than 30 kilometers away from their home. It took Shen Jilia almost an hour to reach the place. The cell phone was found, but where was the person? Yi Qianqian's head fell onto the bed and she fell into a deep sleep. When he woke up, his head was so dizzy that it felt like it was going to explode. Frowning, he had unknowingly sweated all over. When he got up, he remembered that he had fallen asleep in the hotel. After fanning herself, she realized that she hadn't even plugged in the keycard to get the electricity. Yi Qianqian inserted the keycard and turned on the air conditioner. Her body was burning hot. Looking left and right, she was surprised to see the hotel's name on the left and right. The 5 stars on the signboard displayed the nobility of the place she was currently lying on. Yi Qianqian suddenly felt a pang in her heart. She began to feel the pinch of her money. The saying that drinking boosted one's courage was indeed correct. Under normal circumstances, Yi Qianqian would never have come to a 5-star hotel. First, it was expensive. Second, it was expensive. Third, it was expensive. Oh, I was actually so impulsive, I miscalculated. Yi Qianqian's heart ached as she searched for her cell phone. She wanted to see what time it was, but she couldn't find her cell phone anywhere. Damn it! Yi Qianqian knocked her head. She was so annoyed that she had nothing to say. Even his phone was gone. Who could compare to such bad luck? Chapter 1769. Hello, front desk. Hello, what time is it now? Yi Qianqian's voice was filled with annoyance. The receptionist was stunned when she heard that. She looked at the time and said, "Hello, madam. It's 1:32 in the morning now. How may I help you?" "Well, do you have hangover tea? Get me something to eat while you're at it." "Yes, madam. I'll arrange for a specialist to take your order. Please wait a moment." "Okay, thank you." Yi Qianqian hung up the phone and lay on the bed like a corpse. Her head was throbbing. She seemed to have downed 24 bottles of wine on her own. There were exactly 24 bottles. This was the first time Yi Qianqian had drunk so much wine, and she had done it alone. Other than going up and down to the toilet and vomiting a few times, there didn't seem to be much of a difference. Yi Qianqian suddenly admired herself. She had gone to a place like a KTV alone and drowned her sorrows in alcohol like a fool. However, it turned out that it didn't work at all. Not only did it not drown her sorrows, but it also caused her to have a hangover. After a while, the waiter came to take their order. After Yi Qianqian ate and drank the hangover soup, she felt much better. After taking a shower, Yi Qianqian slept all the way until dawn. When she woke up, the sky was already bright. Yi Qianqian looked out the window and saw that the sky was already bright. Suddenly, she rolled out of bed like a carp. "I'm doomed. I'm doomed." She still had to go to work today. Yi Qianqian immediately rushed to the bathroom. After washing up, she picked up her bag and went downstairs to check out of the room. When she checked out, Yi Qianqian's eyes immediately fell on the big clocks behind the cashier's counter. I'm doomed. It's already 8:30. Yi Qianqian paid the bill. She wanted to cry but had no tears. She rushed out to hail a cab. It was reported that this place was a full 30 kilometers away from the headquarters of Eurasian Comics. In other words, it seemed that she was going to be late no matter what. Yi Qianqian hugged her bag and panicked in the car. Leaders always had the ability to do everything well when things were good. However, when you were late, no matter how good they were to you, they would always have a million ways to scold you. Less than 5 minutes after Yi Qianqian got into the car, the situation dissipated significantly. Now that she was free, Yi Qianqian didn't even have a cell phone. It would take her at least 40 minutes to get to the office from there. She didn't have anything to kill her time with, so her brain started to churn. The emotions that she had been able to toss to the back of her mind since yesterday suddenly surged up and mixed up all of her thoughts. It was difficult to ignore them now. Yi Qianqian's breathing quickened. She twisted the strap of her backpack and stared at her fingernails without blinking. Due to the traffic jam, it was already 9:20 p.m. when Yi Qianqian arrived at the office. 20 minutes late. Yi Qianqian was no longer flustered. $100 would be deducted if she was half an hour late, and $100 would still be deducted if she was 20 minutes late. It was better to slow down and not waste her time. What Yi Qianqian didn't expect was to see a familiar figure standing at the entrance of the company when she reached it. It's over. Chapter 1770. Yi Qianqian couldn't dodge in time and stopped in her tracks. Why would I see the chief editor here? Could it be that she had been late too many times recently, so this leader had come to the door to reprimand her? At the thought of that possibility, Yi Qianqian panicked even more. Yi Qianqian met the chief editor's gaze and smiled sheepishly. When the chief editor saw Yi Qianqian, she immediately stopped making the call and looked at Yi Qianqian with a dark expression. When Yi Qianqian saw the situation, she knew that things were not looking good. No matter what, he was still a leader. Yi Qianqian braced herself and walked up to him. Yi Qianqian. The chief editor gritted her teeth and looked at Yi Qianqian. You're finally here. Yi Qianqian shrunk her neck, pouted her lips and shouted, Boss! As she screamed, Yi Qianqian lunged at the chief editor. The chief editor stepped back and said with a look of disgust, You reek of alcohol. Sob, sob, sob. Yi Qianqian howled half-truthfully. Big boss, I didn't mean to be late. I was heartbroken. I accidentally woke up late, so... The editor-in-chief's expression was even worse. He said, You want to die just because of a quarrel? You even lost your phone. You're really something. Yi Qianqian was taken aback. How did you know that I lost my cell phone? How could I not know? Your boyfriend was here just now. When he couldn't wait for you, I asked him to get something to eat before coming back, the chief editor snapped. It's all thanks to your boyfriend that everyone knows you're late. Even if I wanted to open the back door for you, I wouldn't be able to. Write a report before you get off work today, and the money will still be deducted. Yi Qianqian had a dumbfounded look on her face as she asked, Did old Shen come by? You've been here for a long time. You even stopped me on my way to work and asked me if I knew where you were. How the hell would I know where you were? The chief editor's face was full of envy and jealousy. She pointed behind Yi Qianqian and said, Look, you're here. Yi Qianqian's body stiffened and she turned her head to look. Shen Jilia's hand was bandaged and hung from his neck. With a single look, one could tell that the thick bandage was not to be underestimated. When he saw Yi Qianqian, he immediately straightened up and ran toward her. When Yi Qianqian saw him, she grabbed her bag and ran to the office. Shen Jilia saw her from afar and shouted, Yi Qianqian. Let's go. I don't want to see him. Yi Qianqian tugged at her editor. The chief editor was caught off guard and asked, What's wrong with him? Yi Qianqian's voice faltered. She didn't know where to start. Yi Qianqian was the queen of performance in the company. She couldn't possibly tell them that she, Yi Qianqian, had been successful in her career, but her best friend had stolen her man in the field of love. In any case, I don't want to see him. We've already broken up. I don't care what you guys did, but looking at your boyfriend's attitude, if you don't clear things up with him today, he won't leave. You'd better settle this quickly and come back to work as soon as possible. You have so many things to do, and you still have the nerve to ask for leave yesterday. The chief editor pulled her hand back and gave Yi Qianqian a push before quickly walking into the office. When she turned around, Shen Jilia was already right in front of her. Shen Jilia grabbed Yi Qianqian's hand. Panting, he called out, "Qianqian!" When Yi Qianqian said that, her heart felt like it was being pricked by needles. She looked at Shen Jilia with a look of mockery in her eyes. "I've heard your explanation. You can leave now. I have to go back to work. I'm very busy." Shen Jilia looked at Yi Qianqian. "Yi Qianqian." Shen Jilia's eyes were red. "What do I have to do for you to believe me? I really didn't have anything going on with Fang Tongtong. If there really was anything going on between me and Fang Tongtong, I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death." "Fine, I believe you. Let go of me. I'm going to work." Yi Qianqian. Chapter 1773. When Shen Jilia saw Yi Qianqian's reaction, he was even more certain of his guess. It was highly possible that Yi Qianqian was thinking the same thing. Shen Jilia clenched his teeth in anger. He slammed his fist on the table and growled, "Yi Qianqian, what do you take me for?" Shen Jilia's voice was not loud, but he slammed the table firmly. Many people around them looked over. Yi Qianqian looked around and felt her face burning. She tugged at Shen Jilia and rebuked him. "What are you doing? Do you want everyone to know that we're quarreling? Why don't you tell me what you mean?" Shen Jilia's expression was still ugly, but his voice was lower. "Or perhaps, you wanted to break up with me a long time ago, and Fang Tongtong's incident was just an excuse?" Yi Qianqian was annoyed when she heard that. King cheated on me, and you're trying to pin the blame on me? Shen Jilia, how can you be so shameless? Shen Jilia's face turned even darker. "I didn't. No matter how many times you say it, I didn't. I don't know what Fang Tongtong said to you, but even if there were 10 women like her, the outcome would be the same. I don't like women like that. I like you." Yi Qianqian pursed her lips. "Tongtong told me that you two are in love with each other and have a lot to talk about when you're together. Indeed, I've seen it too. Your relationship is indeed very good. On the contrary, I'm more like a third party in the middle. You two are in love with each other? Have a lot to talk about?" Shen Jilia laughed. "Other than her sucking up to me, what other common topics do we have? Furthermore, if every girl I get along with did the same thing, I wouldn't have lived to this age. Qianqian, you're insulting my character. Do you dare to say that you don't like Fang Tongtong?" "I don't." Yi Qianqian pursed her lips and didn't say anything. She lowered her head and took a sip of porridge. She pushed the rice noodle roll in front of Shen Jilia without saying a word. Shen Jilia was also hungry. He hadn't had a proper meal since yesterday. When he saw Yi Qianqian's face, his uneasy heart finally calmed down. He took the rice noodle roll and ate slowly. Both Shen Jilia and Yi Qianqian tacitly stopped talking. Since he had already said it, Yi Qianqian should understand. She understood him as he understood her. Indeed, Yi Qianqian knew exactly how much truth there was in his words. After all, Shen Jilia had nothing to gain from her, except for the sex that he hadn't experienced for days. But with Shen Jilia's qualifications, as long as he said the word, countless girls would throw themselves at him and let him choose. But Shen Jilia had chosen her. He had shamelessly begged for her forgiveness and her trust. She tried her best to control her temper and explain herself. He didn't have to do this. However, it was precisely because he knew that he felt bitterly disappointed. Chapter 1774. Seeing Yi Qianqian's silence, Shen Jilia couldn't help but quiet down. Shen Jilia lowered his head and ate without a word. After he finished all the food that Yi Qianqian didn't like, he looked up and asked, "When do you get off work?" I'll come and pick you up. No need. I didn't come to work yesterday. I might have to work overtime today. As she spoke, she looked at Shenjilia's hand and asked, Is it serious? Shenjilia, who had been tense all this while, suddenly relaxed. When he saw the worry in Yi Qianqian's eyes, a smile gradually appeared in his eyes as he replied, It's not serious. Well, that's good. Yi Qianqian stood up. I'm full. I'll pay the bill. You can go back to the hospital. I can be discharged. I don't need to go to the hospital. Shenjilia quickly stood up as well. I'll be staying at home from now on. The hospital has approved a month's leave. I'll just have to wait for the stitches to be removed before going to the hospital. Oh. She turned around and said, I'll pay the bill. Take your time. I can't finish it. Yeah. Shenjilia looked at her back. Go ahead then. I'll pick you up tonight. There's no need. Yi Qianqian turned around without looking back. Shenjilia sat down and breathed a sigh of relief. Yi Qianqian arrived late. When she returned to the office, it was already past 10 o'clock. After more than an hour of work, it was lunch break. Yi Qianqian had just finished her meal, so she wasn't hungry. She sat in the office, unfinished with her work. However, this kind of hard work was not quiet. After a while, he received a call. Feng Tong Tong. When Yi Qianqian saw the name, she immediately stopped what she was doing. Her phone vibrated incessantly. Feng Tong Tong's name was very eye-catching. The cutest bestie. Cute. Best friend? Yi Qianqian thought about it for a moment and decided to hang up. She used the system's text message to reply. Hello, I'm busy right now. Call me back later. His friendly tone was so distant that it was indescribable, but everything seemed to be a matter of course. However, Yi Qianqian felt a little sad. She stared at the computer in front of her, but she couldn't seem to get into working mode. Ding dong, Feng Tong Tong was on WeChat. Cutest bestie, Qianqian, I'm back in Yun Town. It was just a few words, but Yi Qianqian stared at it for a long time. A few minutes later, Feng Tong Tong sent another WeChat message. Old Shen is a good man. Cherish him. Don't be so willful in the future. The slap you gave him yesterday made him very sad. Yi Qianqian laughed in exasperation. Sisai, let's talk? Where are you? Cutest bestie. Home, Sisai, my house? Cutie bestie. Yeah, I'm packing. Old Shen is helping me too. He's trying to persuade me not to leave, but I don't think it's appropriate. Cutie bestie. I know what I said might cause you to misunderstand, but I've never told you that the person I'm taking care of recently is my boyfriend. You've misunderstood. Yi Qianqian found it more and more miraculous. She laughed out loud and sent a few question marks over. But no matter how she looked at it, she felt that the word best friend was extremely irritating. She clicked on it and changed it to scheming B*TCH. Chapter 1775. Sisai: Sisai, did I slap you in the face? Why do you mind so much? Double scheming whore. I just feel sorry for old Shen. When Yi Qianqian heard what Feng Tong Tong said, she found it even more hilarious. Moving his fingers, he asked, What position should I use? Double scheming whore. Old Shen treats you so well. You keep saying that you don't want to marry him, but at the same time, you're dragging him down. Isn't that too unfair? Qianqian, although you are my good friend, I can't stand it anymore. No man can stand being treated like that by a woman in public. Moreover, that place is the hospital where old Shen works. All his colleagues are there. Don't you think it's inappropriate? The more Yi Qianqian read, the darker her expression became. Scheming whore. I think you should apologize to Shenjilia and admit your mistake. Maybe old Shen will forgive you. Sisai, really? Is that so? Zixixi. All right, shut up. I'll handle my own business. Aren't you going back to Yun Town? Go back. I'll look for you when I'm free. Perhaps one day when they met again, she would still be her, and she would still be her. After all, they were from the same place and grew up together. It was impossible to say that they would not have any connections in the future. They threw this matter to the back of their minds and forgot about it. Yi Qianqian looked at the string of words she had sent out. Her eyes darkened, and her emotions were complicated. This was the biggest concession she could make. Fong Tong Tong, oh, Fong Tong Tong, don't force me. However, Fong Tong Tong did not seem to give up. She sent another message. Qian, I know you're angry at me, but what I said is for your own good. Double scheming whore, you like old Shen so much, and I don't want you two to break up. As long as you apologize, this might be over. Old Shen is so nice to you, he won't hold a grudge against you. The corners of Yi Qianqian's mouth twitched, and her eyes were filled with mockery. Sisai. Shen Jilia told you? Double-minded whore. No, that's what I think. Sisai. You like Shen Jilia so much. If I break up with Shen Jilia, wouldn't that be perfect for you? Double-minded whore. Qian, you misunderstood. I don't really like him. Sisai. You told me that yourself, didn't you? You said that you liked Shen Jilia very, very much, and that you wanted to be with him. Moreover, the two of you loved each other. Am I dreaming? Weren't you the one who said that? Fong Tong Tong seemed to have sunk into silence. She did not reply for a long time. There was a fire burning in Yi Qianqian's heart. The message that Fong Tong Tong had sent was literally a plea for peace. Given Yi Qianqian's personality, there was no way she would apologize to anyone when she wasn't in the wrong. Especially Shen Jilia, the boyfriend who had cheated on her. Yet, Fong Tong Tong said those words so naturally. Her motive was already very clear. This was sowing dissension. If Shen Jilia hadn't already found her, Yi Qianqian might have believed him. But now, it was clear that Fong Tong Tong had lost the initiative. Double-minded whore. I did say that, but that was just to hide the fact that old Shen was in the hospital. I didn't do it on purpose. Chapter 1776. Scheming whore. Qian, why did you say that? You're really disappointing me. Sisai. Yi Qianqian was so angry that she laughed. She couldn't take it anymore and made a call. Fong Tong Tong quickly picked up the call. However, the moment she picked up the phone, Yi Qianqian heard sobbing coming from the other end. The words that Yi Qianqian wanted to hurl at Fong Tong Tong were stuck in her throat. She couldn't say a single word. Fong Tong Tong's sobbing voice could be heard. She choked and shouted, Qian, how could you say that to me? No matter what, I can't have anything to do with your boyfriend. Yi Qianqian was speechless. If one were to ask Yi Qianqian what annoyed her the most in her life, it would be this kind of woman who cried like Sister Lin. When Yi Qianqian heard Fong Tong Tong's sobs, she lost her temper. She was so frustrated that she wanted to curse. She roared, You! However, she didn't know what to say when the words were on the tip of her tongue. Fong Tong Tong's sobs grew louder. She said, I admit that I've been taking care of old Shen for the past few days, but I guarantee that I didn't have any improper thoughts about him. I swear to you. Are you done? Why are you crying? Yi Qianqian was extremely annoyed. Can crying solve the problem? Fong Tong Tong wailed and said, Qianqian, no matter what, you have to believe me. I've been taking care of old Shen for the past few days, but I've never thought about stealing your boyfriend. I admit that old Shen is very charming. He's handsome, rich, and he treats his girlfriend extremely well. However, I also know what's mine and what's not. Do you know, Qian? I really treat you as my best friend and bestie. This time, if old Shen hadn't stopped me from telling you about us, what happened between me and old Shen would have been an accident. If old Shen hadn't stopped me, I would have said that I've let you down. What? Yi Qianqian felt as if her heart was being squeezed tightly. What did you say happened between you and Shen Jilia? What accident? Fong Tong Tong's sobs stopped abruptly. It was as if she immediately realized that she had said the wrong thing. Her voice became a little sluggish. What do you mean? Tell me clearly. Yi Qianqian's voice wasn't very calm. What happened between you and old Shen? Accident? However, Fong Tong Tong was silent. After a long while she said, Old Shen truly loves you. No matter how much he lied to you, he still loves you. He's just afraid that you'll be sad. Let me ask you, what exactly happened between the two of you? What accident? Yi Qianqian was truly enraged. She raised her voice and slammed the table. She stood up and said, Explain yourself. Most of the people in the office had gone out, But there were still many colleagues who brought their own lunchboxes to eat in the company. They were eating when they heard Yi Qianqian's roar. Everyone turned to look at her. Yi Qianqian's eyes were slightly red. It was obvious that she was already furious. Not good. Her colleagues looked at each other in dismay. Soon, the chief editor walked out and bellowed, "What's the matter, Yi Qianqian? Can't you let us take an afternoon nap?" However, Yi Qianqian's attention wasn't on that. She was listening to the voice on the other end of the line. However, Feng Tongtong did not reply. Instead, she heard the busy tone. Chapter 1777. The chief editor had already walked forward. Just as she was about to say something, she saw Yi Qianqian's reddened eyes. Yi Qianqian stared at the call screen on her cell phone. Her eyes welled up with tears. The chief editor did not expect Yi Qianqian to be like this. In the past 3 to 4 years, no one in the office had ever seen Yi Qianqian cry. Yi Qianqian's tears fell, but she quickly wiped them away and said, "It's nothing." Sitting down again, the chief editor had already put away her aggressive attitude. She walked up and asked softly, "What's wrong?" Yi Qianqian tried her best to curl her lips into a smile, but her muscles were too tense. When she smiled, she looked even uglier than when she cried. The chief editor's heart tightened. She handed a tissue to Yi Qianqian and said, "Don't cry. Don't cry." It would have been better if the chief editor hadn't said anything. As soon as she did, Yi Qianqian felt that everyone around her was looking at her. She pursed her lips and couldn't help but whimper softly. She choked out, "It's fine. Go away. It's so embarrassing." The editor-in-chief was almost amused by her, but she felt that it would be too unkind to laugh when someone else was crying. He coughed lightly and said, "If that's the case, I'm leaving." "Wait a minute." Yi Qianqian whimpered. The chief editor stopped, turned around and asked, "What's wrong?" "I want to apply for leave." Chief editor. By the time he hailed a cab home, Feng Tongtong had already left. Along the way, Yi Qianqian called Feng Tongtong several times. In the beginning, no one answered. Later on, she couldn't get through. It was obvious that Feng Tongtong had blocked her number. Yi Qianqian sat on the sofa and stared at the ceiling above her. She was in a daze. She sat there and stared at the ceiling above her. After lying in bed for a long time, Yi Qianqian finally remembered to call Shen Jilia. It was as if Shen Jilia had been waiting for his cell phone. He answered the call immediately. "Hello, Qianqian." It was a familiar voice. It was as pleasant to the ears as before, and it made her emotions fluctuate. But at that moment, when Yi Qianqian heard the voice, she felt her heart tighten. "Shen Jilia." Yi Qianqian's throat was a little dry and sounded a little hoarse. When Shen Jilia heard that, he felt that something was amiss. He looked at the time. It was 2 p.m. He still had the time to call at this time. He should not be busy, right? "I don't need to work overtime today, right?" "Yeah," Yi Qianqian replied. "Shen Jilia." "Yes." "Tell me honestly, what's your relationship with Feng Tongtong?" "I think I made myself very clear this morning. There's nothing between me and Feng Tongtong. The only relationship we have is that I'm your boyfriend, and she's your bestie. However, I feel that your bestie isn't innocent. Can we not contact each other in the future?" Feng Tongtong's eyes widened. "Is that so?" Yi Qianqian was a little confused. "You've been acting weird lately." "I didn't mean to hide it from you, Qianqian. I just didn't want you to worry." "No, I'm not talking about your hospitalization." In the past, you wouldn't explain so much in one sentence. In the past, you would only tell me that you have nothing to do with her, but now you're telling me not to contact her. What do you mean?" You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.